Today we're going to check out Sonic the Hedgehog 3 on 4K UHD. I'm not here to talk about how good or bad the movie is, I'm just going to share some of my thoughts on the audio and video quality. Now let's go over a few tech specs. The movie was shot in 4.6K, it's got a 4K DI, it's rated PG, runtime is 110 minutes, aspect ratio is 239:1, and the audio is in Dolby Atmos. Now before we take a look at the audio and see how active this mix is, if you don't know what the Atmos viewer is, you can find a link down below in this video's description that tells you all about it, what it does, and where to get it. You can also find a list of all the gear that I use for these 4K reviews down there as well. So jumping over to the Atmos viewer, we can see that this is a pretty active Atmos mix. One of the cooler scenes happens at around 59 minutes in, where the Robotniks are about to get shredded by the lasers. When the lasers bounce off the suits, you'll hear them zip past your ears in all different directions. The robot fight at an hour 30 minutes has explosions going off through all the different speakers, with some decent front-to-back movement. Now, despite having a lot of overhead activity, it's mostly musical extension that finds its way up top, which does expand the soundstage vertically. But during the action scenes, which this movie does have a lot of, doesn't have a ton of effects that get placed above your head. So when things are blowing up in the air or falling from the sky, there's nothing happening in the top channels that should match what you're seeing on screen. And this happens a lot throughout the entire movie. If you just want all of your speakers to make noise, then yes, this is a very active mix. It's just what you're seeing on screen doesn't always match what you're hearing. As for bass response, if I recall correctly, the previous two movies didn't have that much for LFE, and neither does this one. So if they were going for consistency within all three movies, mission accomplished. I found the most bass happens when they're playing a pop song or a rap song in the background. The space station explosion at the end of the movie does have some decent low-end rumble, but for the most part, bass is kind of a disappointment. If you want more bass, then I suppose you can just turn up your subwoofers. As for dialogue, that always remained easy to hear and it was always clear, but if I'm being a little bit nitpicky, I thought Tails and Sonic's voice sounded somewhat bright and a little shrill compared to the other characters, which had a nice natural tone. And at my reference level, Sonic and Tails kinda made my ears hurt, so I had to back down the volume just a tad when they start talking. Other than that, if you don't have sensitive hearing, dialogue was totally fine. And thanks to Kaleidescape for providing me with this copy of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 so I can bring you, the home theater movie-loving community, this 4K review. Now, if you want to get your movies weeks and sometimes months before they come out of 4K Blu-ray in the same, if not better quality, consider getting a Kaleidescape from our channel partner, Dream Media. Links can be found down below in this video's description. Video quality-wise, I didn't find this to be a very bright movie, which neither were the previous two, but it does have some nice HDR colors. Sonic and Pals are nicely saturated, and the overall color palette, while it is a little flat in parts, does have a nice natural look. It's also got a touch of softness to the image, which they probably did to make the CG blend in better with the live action stuff. Other times, where it's all CG, those shots do look 4K crispy and extra sharp. If you look closely, you'll see the veins that they added into Shadow's eyeballs. Sonic's gloves also had a very realistic cotton fiber texture. I didn't notice anything being crushed during the darker scenes, so shadow detail looked great, and specular highlights where they weren't eye-blindingly bright did have some nice pop from all the explosions. It's an overall solid looking transfer. I don't think it's gonna blow anyone away visually, but if you do like the other two Sonic movies, I think you'll like this one as well. I'm gonna go with an 8 for video. Audio-wise, while this is a very immersive mix, it doesn't always follow what you're seeing on screen. It could use a little bit of help in the bass department, and I thought the dialogue could also be a little more balanced. It's still a fun watch and a fun listen for all the action scenes, so I'm gonna go with a 7.9 for audio. Now, this was based off of the Kaleidescape version of the movie, which comes in at 71.6 gigs in Dolby Vision and 66.1 gigs in HDR10, which is the version I watched. If you're holding off on picking this up on 4K Blu-ray, that comes out on April 15th, which is still a couple months away, or you can get it now on the Kaleidescape in the same, if not better quality. The audio will be exactly the same. So what are your thoughts on Sonic the Hedgehog 3? And which movie did you think is better? Part 1, 2, or 3? Leave a comment down below and let me know. Now, if you do want to pick up this movie, I will leave some links for it down below in this video's description. As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you want, you can follow us on social media, and if you want to support the channel and get exclusive content or great discounts on audio and video gear, then stop by our Patreon page. Be sure to like this video if you found it useful, and I'll catch you again in the next video.